If, like me, growing up you watched the movie Narnia, the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, you probably remember that enchanting feeling of wonder you had, seeing Lucy step into the large wooden wardrobe that held all the mysteries of Narnia within its doors. I like to think that furniture is a little bit more than just fabric and wood, but rather an almost sentient being itself. In fact, the older a piece is, the more personality I often find it has. And since I can remember, I have longed to own unique, whimsical pieces of furniture. And now that I'm an adult, I can slowly turn that into reality. One piece in particular that I have been dying to get my hands on is a historical cabinet that I can turn into my very own Witchy Apothecary. Think old world carvings like those detailed on the Narnia wardrobe, meets that slightly haunted feeling of the witch's cottage in Hocus Pocus. And of course, it must be filled with various jars and bottles of magical ingredients like the ones found in the Owens house from Practical Magic. And since I was planning to move into my new apartment this fall, I knew now was the perfect time to find this piece. If you're new to my channel, my name is A.L. Eldridge, and you found your way to my Compendium of Creations. Over this past summer, I spent months scouring the web, looking through hundreds, if not thousands, of listings to try and find my dream cabinet. Many beautiful furniture pieces captured one or two aspects of what I was looking for, but none of them felt quite right, or they were far outside my budget. Then, one day, I came across a few vintage items by this seller in Bavaria, and as I scrolled through, I knew it when I saw it. I think I even remember audibly gasping while looking at the detail images, and the price was just unbelievably good. This piece of furniture is called a buffet, although you will also hear me refer to it as a cupboard or cabinet in this video. The particular style I found here is a ceremonial buffet circa 1880. During the late 19th century in France, a buffet de cérémonie, pardon my horrible French there, wasn't just furniture, it was a status symbol. These grand cabinets were used in the dining halls of wealthy households to display silverware, porcelain, and fine foods during banquets. Many of them were commissioned from master cabinet makers from regions like Normandy or Burgundy, where oak carving traditions were heavily present. The buffet I found is an exemplary combination of that high level of craftsmanship and the desire to impress guests with symbols of prosperity, featuring carvings like a boar's head, a lynx, game animals like grouse, and various floral designs. And at over 7 feet tall, it is truly something to behold. I mean, I was completely in awe of this cabinet, and so, of course, I placed an offer immediately. This was going to be my first, what I like to call, self-investment furniture piece, an heirloom filled with character and history that I can carry through my life with me and potentially one day pass down to my children. Because of its sheer size and weight, the cabinet was actually delivered all the way from Bavaria in 4 separate pieces. And it's actually a very funny story because on the delivery day, the driver actually arrived an hour earlier than I was expecting. So I was still in a bathrobe when the doorbell rang, and I had to literally jump over my bed, put on some clothing, and run outside to help him carry in the pieces, which is unfortunately why I do not have any footage of us unloading the truck. So you will just have to imagine this scene. I will only say that the pieces were extremely heavy, and it took the both of us to lift each section into the apartment and get the full cabinet assembled. And it was at this point one of my worries was confirmed. The ceremonial topper for the cupboard did not fit within the ceiling height. But luckily, since I suspected this would be the case, I already brainstormed another use for it. More on that in a little bit. Unfortunately, however, right after he left, I realized I actually didn't like the place we put it. When the sunlight comes through the window on this side of the room, it gets blocked and ends up leaving the cupboard in the shade all day. Maybe it's the combination of ADHD and OCD in my brain, but when I see an object in a spot that is messing up the creative feng shui of my apartment, I have to immediately move it. So for this cabinet, I decided it needed to be on the complete opposite wall. Now you may be wondering, how did I plan to move that entire buffet by myself? But fear not, because apparently in great times of need, I am somehow able to summon the strength of Hercules. Although I'm sure even Hercules needed to catch his breath every now and then. With no scratches on the floor, I would call that a success. First things first, we need to get the cabinet cleaned up. I started by dusting every inch thoroughly, inspecting it as I went to see if I could find any more clues about the history of this piece. Sadly, I could not find more, so the only history I have to go off comes from the cellar. The rest remains a mystery, but I have a feeling my cupboard will share with me a few of its secrets over the years. I was surprised to find these old lace detailings in the bottom section. It seems at one point they were actually tacked into the shelves above. So I plan to keep them in storage until I can find some way to incorporate them into a future project. To cover up any of those old tack marks that were still visible on the shelves, I simply used a little bit of color-matched paint that I had. With the dust and most of the cobwebs cleared away, I switched projects and got to work on the ceremonial topper that didn't fit. Some months ago, I came across this really interesting lace scarf at a secondhand shop, and it only cost me like €2. So, considering I discovered that old white lace, which was once part of the furniture piece, I thought I could somehow use the black lace here to reincorporate that aspect of the cabinet's history. After playing with a few ideas, I eventually landed on this concept. So, I have a conundrum, and that is I don't really know how I want to attach the scarf to this headpiece in a non-permanent way. I know I always want to have the option to remove it just in case I potentially move into a bigger home with taller ceilings in the future. I think it would be lovely to actually have this topper back on its original buffet table. But in the meantime, I am going to turn this into a nice decorative wall piece for my entryway, where I actually currently just have a blank wall there. I think it'll be pretty unique and a nice way to greet people when they walk in the door. So here's what I'm thinking. My plan is, firstly, I need to cover up these pegs at the bottom. If you see, they stick out and they're not meant to be seen. They're obviously just for mounting this on top of the buffet table. So my plan is to pull the scarf taut enough across the bottom that it covers up those pegs. And what I'm going to use to keep the scarf on it is actually these nice ornamental curved details that are on both sides. And the way I'm going to do that is the scarf actually has some extra tassels on the side. So if I pull it across, covering up the pegs in the front, I can then loop it over those curved details on the side, like this. And then imagine I pulled it taut. It would theoretically cover up those pegs, and what I could do is I could just take a little bit of thread and I could stitch the tassel on the side into the rest of the scarf that comes out the back. And that way it would essentially hang on this piece, and whenever I want to remove the scarf, I just go in with a pair of scissors and snip that. I have no idea if this is going to actually work how I want it to, so let's find out. Once I grouped the extra tassels on the side, I pinned them into place so they wouldn't slip around while I stitched them. Once I got to work with my needle and thread, I soon figured out that a few empty bottles were perfect for holding the scarf in place. Then, after stitching both sides, I decided to add a few anchor points that would assist in holding the middle of the fabric up to the wood. Once I was happy with the way the lace was attached, I measured out where I wanted to place it on the wall, hammered in some long nails that it could rest on, and this may be a little bit extra, but I decided to paint the nails so that they would blend more seamlessly between the white wall and the dark wood, and not stick out like an eyesore. A little fiddling, and this side quest was finally done. Back in the other room, I was ready to transform this 19th century buffet into the fantastical witchy cupboard that I've always dreamed of having. When I say I have been waiting for this day, I mean I have literally been collecting all sorts of unique jars and bottles over the past decade, which I recently labeled and filled with various mystical ingredients. And I've been holding on to them and other various curiosities in the hopes that I would someday be able to give them a home. I'm thrilled to say that day is today. Of course, no witchy apothecary is complete without a few antique books. So I obviously had to add my compendium to the shelf. A few candles and a skull, and the top part was done. I decided to keep the middle section quite open so that it would feel more like a working space. A small cauldron, a bell, some tarot cards, and some incense should suffice. For the bottom section, I decided to store all my extra candles in a wicker basket that I found on the street. A few more apothecary bottles, and of course, a trusty crystal ball. I have heard that you're supposed to keep these covered, one, because they could burn down your house if they're in direct sunlight, and two, to keep wandering spirits from residing in them. Finally, a chalice, a bone or two, a dagger, and of course a bowl filled with even more herbs. And this witch's cabinet is complete. If you enjoyed this video, I have a few more videos planned this winter, such as making an Addams Family inspired gingerbread house. I will also be visiting a medieval German Christmas market and showing you how I decorate for the holidays with some haunting Yuletide tales. So stay tuned, grab your potion bottles, and I'll see you in the next chapter in my Compendium of Creations.